Doctor Who, a British icon once lost to time in the cutthroat world of television. Inventive antagonists with deeper meaning reduced to a joke. One of the greatest science fiction inventions ever, turned into a way of describing a cupboard which is slightly bigger than expected. A show that was loved by many, but sadly not enough, with the BBC letting the show rest with no hope of regeneration. Being a Doctor Who fan as the 20th century drew to a close must have been tough with no new episodes. Spare a failed revival in the form of the Paul McGann TV movie and numerous strange animations. It must have felt like there was no hope of hearing the blue box's unmistakable sound of ancient engines wheezing and groaning ever again. Now in 2019, it's hard to imagine a time without Doctor Who, the latest series proving popular among critics and fans alike, paired with a range of merchandise from books to action figures and even clothing. Doctor Who is talked about by loads of people every day, and the anticipation for the next series, and the next, and even the next, is ever growing. Doctor Who seems to be the show that since being woken up is determined to never sleep. The fact Doctor Who is a show that is being talked about over half a century since its first episode proves it to be as strong as ever. However, this wouldn't have been possible after the cancellation in 1989 if it wasn't for the revival. This is the unlikely story of a gritty northern actor, a pop singer, and a Welsh writer working with a crew of fantastic people to bring the Time Lord back to our televisions. This is the story of how Doctor Who came back. Now with the role of the Doctor cast, he needed to have a hand to hold. A rose. There was only one choice for the part of 19-year-old Londoner, and that was Billie Piper. Billie, having recently left her pop career because she wanted to, moved towards acting and blew minds with her performance in the Canterbury Tales in 2003. According to the passages of Doctor Who The Inside Story, another great book, Billie Piper was the first actor to audition and the casting team were in awe. They had found their rose. It couldn't have been that easy, could it? They auditioned many other candidates and then brought Billie back to record a screen test with Christopher, and they both got along well and the performance was great. It was almost settled. Then a selection of newspapers had headlines saying that Billie Piper had already been cast. This was bad news. If an actor sees this, they feel like they are being bullied into a role, forced to take it. Russell and Judy were worried. Then Billie Piper said yes. Billie Piper was Rose Tyler. On the 24th of May 2004, Billie Piper's casting was officially announced with the headline, "It's Billie." Billie Piper was available for comment saying, "Doctor Who is an iconic show and I'm absolutely thrilled to be playing the part of Rose Tyler. I'm also looking forward to working with Christopher Eccleston and writer Russell T Davies." Russell T Davies added, "The Doctor's companion is one of the most important and cherished roles in the history of TV drama. I'm delighted that someone of Billie's talent is coming on board the TARDIS to travel through time and space." Now the Doctor and Rose was sorted, that was the main set of casting done. Well, not really, as what made the 2005 revival of the show unique was its focus on family, meaning the characters of Jackie Tyler and Mickey Smith were important too. The auditions led to the casting of Noel Clarke as Mickey. He was great, being the only one to utilise the character's lines with the lightness rather than pure rage. This led to Mickey being a more complex character and Noel capturing it perfectly. Then there was Camille Caudry as Jackie. She was perfect. Not only was there a certain likeness between her and Billie, but also her audition, which was for one of the early scenes in episode 4 where Jackie slaps the Doctor, saw her add her own ideas to an already great line.
"I am a doctor."
Prove it. Stitch this, mate.
Now the mate was added in by Camille herself, giving the character that fire Russell was after. It was so good Russell even altered the script. Camille was Jackie, Noel was Mickey, and they were brilliant. They didn't get any tabloid covers, but that didn't matter as their performances were absolutely brilliant. Another series regular who would go on to become one of the most iconic characters in 21st century Doctor Who was Captain Jack Harkness, who would travel with the Doctor and Rose through episodes 9, 10, 11 and 12, as well as 13. This character was important and surprisingly easy to cast. John Barrowman, actor and singer, was the first name to come to the minds of Phil and Russell. Having discussed having him for the part at around 2 PM, John was brought in and amazed the casting team. He was cast that same afternoon. John was so great and fitted the role so perfectly, there was little to no hesitation casting him. John was Captain Jack. Lucinda Wright was tasked with the designing of the costumes for the series, and they were amazing. It was decided from the beginning that Eccleston's Doctor would not wear anything silly. He would wear clothing that was simple and created an iconic silhouette. The Doctor would wear a variety of coloured shirts, black trousers and black leather boots. Then the most interesting part of the costume was a weathered leather jacket. With the Doctor being 900 years old, the jacket looks the same age. The jacket was also used to demonstrate the Doctor's personality, but the Doctor changed after the Time War. He was a bit more defensive. The original costume design sketches were completed in May 2004. For Rose, the costumes developed with the character across the span of the series, going from the muted pink hoodie and baggy jeans to slim black jeans and bold colours in the later part of the series, showing the growth of Rose's confidence alongside the Doctor. The costume designs for Rose were drawn in June 2004. On Friday the 2nd of July 2004, it was announced that the Daleks would not be returning to Doctor Who, due to disagreements with the estate of the real creator of the Daleks, Terry Nation. A BBC spokeswoman said, after lengthy negotiations, the BBC and Terry Nation have been unable to reach an agreement on the terms of the use of the Daleks. The Terry Nation estate said it was bitterly disappointed. The BBC spokeswoman then said the BBC offered the very best deal possible, but ultimately we were not able to give the level of editorial influence that the Terry Nation estate wished to have. But an agent for the Nation estate accused the BBC of ignoring copyright laws and said the corporation was trying to ruin the brand of the Daleks. Russell was obviously disappointed but did have a backup plan, saying, "I can confirm we have created a new enemy for the Doctor, which will keep viewers on the edge of their seats." This new monster that would stand in the place of the Pepper Pots was a race of metallic sphere creatures with an organic element inside. They would later be called the Toclophane. Now this was an idea that Russell later repurposed for future series. Now Doctor Who has always been famous for its effects, both practical and visual. From prosthetics to CGI, the new series was no different. Firstly, there was the Mill, who created many great effect sequences, from the spaceship crashing into Big Ben to the TARDIS flying through the time vortex. The effects team created brilliant sequences which were just amazing. The titles for me are the best that Doctor Who has ever had, with the brilliant 1996 inspired time vortex and the brilliant TARDIS exterior chaotically hurtling towards the next adventure, accompanied by the astounding soundtrack developed by composer Murray Gold. This series didn't depend on computers completely though, far from it, as the practical wizardry of Millennium Effects created amazing creatures like the Slovene. It was all coming together quite nicely. One of the most underrated parts of creating the new series was the BBC modelling team, who crafted the clock face of Big Ben, the lair of the Nestine consciousness, elements of a World War II skyscape. The list goes on. The work that goes into making the practical effects and the visual effects for Doctor Who is completely astounding, and often underrated. Davy Jones and Linda Davy were behind the makeup for the series. While Millennium Effects covered all the prosthetics, Davy and Linda's company, Makeup SFX, were responsible for maintaining continuity and making the actors look their best. The pair almost didn't do Doctor Who until they received a phone call from Christopher Eccleston, who had worked with the pair previously. He asked them to reconsider, and they did. A fun fact is that Chris had actually been on holiday prior to the series filming, and due to it all being filmed out of sequence, they had to apply the same level of tan that he had on holiday, maintaining it throughout the series to keep the continuity correct. Responsible for creating a soundtrack iconic for a new generation is Murray Gold and the BBC Wales National Orchestra. The tracks that were produced for the 2005 series were absolutely brilliant, including Westminster Bridge, the Doctor's theme, and Slovene. They were great. The sound design of Doctor Who has always been brilliant, and with a new series being made, a new set of iconic sounds were also required. Nicholas Briggs provided some great voice work for the series, and Paul McFadden would oversee any ADR work that would go on. ADR standing for Additional Dialogue Recording. This would often save a take that could have been ruined by outside sound reverberating around the barely soundproofed Q2 studio. One of the final jobs during sound editing would be the actual sound mixing. Now this was a job given to Tim Ricketts. His job was to mix together Gold's score, McFadden's ADR recordings, Briggs' monster voices, the sound of the original takes, paired with Paul Jeffrey's sound effects editing. All of this work would go on to really pay off. So, with a crew formed, plans drawn up, and a cast crafted, it was time to start filming. The cameras first rolled on Sunday the 18th of July 2004, filming episode 4, scene 21. This involved the Doctor, soldiers, and a space pig pilot played by Jimmy V. The scenes were filmed in Cardiff's Royal Infirmary and really showcased great practical effects and Chris's acting. Filming the episodes took place across 6 blocks. The brilliant work of the cast and crew really worked to bring the scripts to life. Now, Doctor Who Confidential, a behind-the-scenes documentary series, really captured this better than any words I could muster. Instead here, I'm going to show a selection of photos released to really help showcase the work that went on behind the scenes, as well as a few dates that were shown of when filming took place. Hope you enjoy. Now, on the 28th of July 2004, Noel Clarke was announced to play Mickey Smith with an article titled Mickey Announced. Now on the 4th of August 2004, it was announced that the Daleks would in fact be back with the following press release. Mal Young, BBC controller of continuing drama series, and Tim Hancock, agent for the Cherry Nation estate, announced today that the Daleks will return in the new series of Doctor Who, which is currently in production for transmission on BBC One in 2005. Hancock says, "I'm absolutely delighted that the Cherry Nation estate and the BBC have been able to reach an agreement on terms for the use of the Daleks in the new Doctor Who series. We look forward to working closely with the production team in the forthcoming months." Young added, "As well as coming face to face with a number of new and exciting monsters, it's good news that the Doctor will also do battle with his arch enemy, the Daleks, in a new series which promises to surprise and entertain a new generation." Now this was brilliant news, and led to the creation of a new Dalek design based on the original designs of the 1960s, and then added upon with the emphasis on a metallic armour, this time being made to look like it was cast out of bronze work. The Dalek design did not overly change what a Dalek is, and that's what made it work. Now that's all we have time for in this part. With filming wrapped, the Dalek's back, and the finishing touches about to be made, check back here tomorrow as I look into the creation of the iconic logo, the controversial leaks, the trailers, episode launch, and the shocking announcement only a few days after the series launch. All this and more in the final part of How Doctor Who Came Back.